You know what they call
Arch-tempered monster?
in Paris? They call it
Alpha Supreme. Alpha Supreme! Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, over the past few days we've had one of the biggest world celebrations of Monster Hunter as a franchise, the Monster Hunter Festa 2025, taking place at Paris Games Week in, well, Paris, France, not the other one. During this we've had fun reveals, there are gameplay demos available at the event for Monster Hunter Stories 3, and there are plenty of fun events and just general Monster Hunter activities going on, and I thought it would be fun to just look at the event, talk about what went down for the people who could not go, and just bask in the glory of some real-life Monster Hunter experiences involving the people who made the game themselves, including series producer Ryozo Tsujimoto, who is essentially the public face of the franchise and a fellow Hammermain, as well as Yuya Tokada, the game director for Monster Hunter Wilds specifically, and these two flew from Japan to France, which is about 10,000 kilometers away if it were a straight line, and it's like a 15-hour flight or a 184-hour car ride, and I could totally see the pair of them just taking like the longest possible road trip to France, one of them driving while the other one plays Monster Hunter in the passenger seat. Though they did probably fly, but I can still enjoy my imaginary concept of their journey. That said, this is a very major event for Monster Hunter as a whole, and there are few places or times where there is as much excitement and passion for Monster Hunter in one singular location as this Monster Hunter Festa. As I mentioned before, there is a playable demo for Monster Hunter Stories 3 at this event, and alongside that there was the debut of 2 new trailers for that game, a panel discussing some of the new stuff shown off in those as well, which I discussed in another video that is up on the channel already. But if you are interested in these Stories spin-off games, Stories 3 is looking absolutely incredible. It's just massive upgrades and improvements in every possible way compared to the previous games. There's also an exhibition with a bunch of concept art for Monster Hunter Wilds, some of which has been seen before, some of it has not been, and we have a pretty detailed look at all the stuff that is there, mostly thanks to Shinkai, who is at the event actively. Very passionate creator who you should check out if you haven't seen them before, but most of this is going to be concept art, and we even have stuff that spans as far as the cosmetic DLC armor set that they did for Title Update 2 specifically. All in all, these things are just really cool, so I wanted to make sure people got to see them, even if they didn't get to go to the event themselves. And for the sake of adding this on too, there was a cool set of Runer Nergigante armor, like a full-on cosplay set with the giant Nergigante greatsword axe, which just looks so cool to see in the real world. The detail on this thing is amazing. There was an egg hunt game activity all weekend long, which seems to be a basketball-like challenge game where you have to throw eggs through specific holes in a timer. It's a neat little just real-life minigame you can do in person, and on a similar sort of wavelength there's also this reaction time challenge. These are pretty common at events these days, but this one has the buttons laid out on monster body parts, which is a nice little just sort of bonus activity to do while you're there as well. There were also unique trading cards for the Festa itself, which was shown to us with the director of Monster Hunter Wilds opening up a pack. He pulls Gravios, Guardian Ebony Odogaron, Gore Magala, who he does take a moment to recognize, which is fair because he's looking at it upside down. Then the little track-tail lizards, they even have endemic life cards. Then Alma, the Sacred, a Jarikon, and then he got a holographic Lala Barina, which honestly, this whole thing is just such a cool idea. Like obviously there's stuff like Teppen, so Monster Hunter cards have existed in some format for a while, but event-exclusive trading cards with unique designs is a really awesome concept for Monster Hunter creatures, and also Alma, which I specify because I don't want to just refer to her as a creature, especially because she is actually at the Festa event herself, or at least a version of her in the form of someone in full costume set up in a photo shoot location with the full pop-up camp setup and a palico, everything, so you can get a picture almost like you are actually in the game itself at the camp. And as if that wasn't enough, they also had a second photo shoot area with Gemma as well, and the smithy station with her, and you can get your picture taken there as well for a totally different vibe, but an equally incredible one. Then outside of that, there was of course the Monster Hunter Wilds France Championship, the equivalent challenge to the USA Championship that happened recently as well, but the quests for these are different, and of course the field of hunters is different too due to the location, and honestly just the size and importance of the event itself. So throughout the event for the first couple of days, you can compete in the Quematrice quest as a qualifier, try to get the best time you could, then the teams with the best times got to take part in the championship finals that took place on the Saturday, doing the Gravios arena quest that we've had access to in game for a bit now already, and making the best times of that they can while doing this. Personally, I think this is a way cooler championship finals quest than the Rathalos that we had for USA Championship, just because Gravios requires more thought, more strategy to deal with him properly, which seems perfect to me for a championship about Monster Hunter. But we'll get into the details of how the finals actually went down a little bit later on in the video. Outside of that, there were plenty of other scheduled events too. Through the weekend, they had multiple opportunities for people from the audience to be chosen at random to come up on stage and hunt an arch-tempered monster, known as ffxiv in French. On the first day, they did this with duna to start the day off, then they had the same event with arch-tempered Raidao a little bit later on too. There were multiple Monster Hunter quizzes that were held throughout the weekend pretty much every day, including with the actual French voice actors for the game, specifically the voice actor for the Palico and the voice actor for Gemma also participated in a later quiz too. They also held a fashion hunting competition, as well as barrel bowling challenges with the voice actors that were involved in those too. On the second day, there was a Monster Hunter Story 3 presentation. We got the new trailers, more quizzes, more fashion hunting, and more barrel bowling challenges. But then there was a big question and answer session with Ryozo Tsujimoto and Yuya Takuda, which had stuff that was spoilers for Monster Hunter Future for me at least, so I won't be covering that part personally, but Josh will give you the lowdown on that whole part of this in a separate video. That video is already up on the channel if you do want to go check that out. And then there was also the opportunity to actually play with these same developers, which is just a very exclusive honor to be able to claim as your own if you were selected. A couple of specific notes I want to point out here too. Tsujimoto-san said his favorite hammer is Rathalos hammer because it's a head on a stick, and as a fellow head on a stick enjoyer, I have massive respect for that statement. But also, here is his layered armor set. He's wacky, he's wild, he's free, he's having a great time, and I think he is an excellent representation for Monster Hunter. Then on the Saturday, the new things were the Masterclass Monster Hunter Wild slot here on the schedule. This was basically a presentation with the game director for Wilds, Takuda-san, talking about how design philosophies and just the sort of process of making Wilds through the lens of one specific monster, which in this case was Raidao. He started by showing the food chain of the Windward Plains, showing very clearly how they view the sort of power rankings of the various monsters naturally found on that map, even having a distinction between Deshagama and Alpha Deshagama. He then goes into the actual thought gone into naming Raidao as a monster, translating these words to English. The Italian one means king, the Mandarin one means thunder, and in English, ray is like ray of light or laser ray. Then the Dao part comes from the Arabic word for light, so king of light, thunder, light, ray of light. Those are the sort of naming concepts that play when you're discussing Raidao. We got some new concept art showing some of Raidao's inner workings, like literally like an x-ray of his wings, showing how the lightning travels through and trying to make sense of him as a monster and why his wings expand with the lightning charge and such too. And concept art like this is why people say that Monster Hunter monsters are sort of realistic. They put a lot of thought into the biology of these creatures. They don't just make things that look cool, they make things that they think at least would make sense functionally within the scope of the Monster Hunter universe. My favorite part of this presentation though was probably when Takuda-san showed us his own lizard and said that Raidao's scales were actually directly inspired by his lizard, and I love that so much. There was also a cosplay catwalk on this day as well, where they got a bunch of the cosplayers who showed up to the event to come up on stage, show off their stuff, and talk about their costumes too. Lots of monster variety, some NPCs were represented as well. I absolutely love cosplay as an art form, and I never fail to be completely amazed when seeing the ridiculous levels of talent that exist in the Monster Hunter community in any of its various forms, especially the creative ones. Then the next one is something really just unbelievably unique, something you might honestly never find happen anywhere on the planet again, depending on if they decide to repeat this in the future for maybe further festas. But it is ultra specific to Wilds, but equally ultra incredible. It was a live concert of the Diva songs from the Grand Hub, performed by the voice actress who voices the Diva, the same person who sings those songs in the game, live in person doing these. It sounds identical to the way it does in game, but it was live, and I am so jealous of the people who were there to attend this. It was so cool even just to see the stream of this. Then after that, we had the championship finals. This went from 100 teams taking place in the qualifying rounds all the way down to 8 teams for the finals themselves. Before we dive into details, I want to say 2 things. First, the quests and thus the loadouts are different from the USA Championship that was held a couple of weeks back, and second, every single time that was posted by the the top 8 groups from the qualifying rounds themselves for the France Championship was a faster quest completion time than the fastest teams that qualified in the USA Championship. Now, obviously there's some component of it that's just balance of the monsters and the loadouts that were available, but it sort of just also shows how much bigger this event is in comparison, because it drew out some really notable Monster Hunter talent, and a good few of the finalists are known speedrunners in the community, which is honestly just awesome to see, because a number of these guys know each other, they are friends, and even for the people that competed that they don't know each other, everyone just seemed to have great sportsmanship about the whole thing. And while the stream itself was taking place in French, I want to throw a massive shout out to Jono, the senior community and social media manager for Monster Hunter and Ace Attorney at Capcom Europe. Absolutely lovely lad to interact with, but he also hosted a stream of the championship on the official Monster Hunter YouTube channel if you want to go and watch it. He provided commentary in English, translating and explaining what was going on in real time, and he did a fantastic job at making the event just more accessible for people who do not speak French. That said, here are the final times posted by each team. I do want to make a couple of specific shoutouts here. First to Shadow Hunters Gamma in 4th place. This is a team including Glucosio, super talented speedrunner, doing stuff with Team Darkside at the moment, as well as Spike Shadowhunter, who is the gameplay director for the studio that made Enotria The Last Song, a Souls-like game that released last year, among some other titles too. Another shout out here for Triple Cart Team, that's the name that they go by on YouTube as well, and this is another group of known speedrunners in the community. As well, the other shoutouts that I wanted to make are actually going to be for the winning team, and of course we would be talking about them regardless because they won, but if you are aware of the speedrunning community, you will absolutely recognize both names here. Viseri, a legendary speedrunner and a former member of Team Darkside, and his partner was Eris, who is easily the most accomplished, recognizable greatsword speedrunner that I'm aware of, at least. He's also incredible at other weapons too, as shown of course by him being on the winning team for an arena quest that didn't have greatsword as an option. There was a pretty big gap between Triple Carters in 8th place with 3 minutes and 53 seconds, and then the next slot up. They unfortunately didn't get the belly break until about 2 minutes in, right when they had a cart happen as well, but they did get it down in the end. After that though, literally 7th place to 2nd place was all within 12 seconds of each other, which is wildly competitive. Every hunter who even made it to this round is incredible, of course. I don't want to take anything away from any of them, but there is something really cool about seeing that 6 separate teams here were so ridiculously close to each other in their finish times, and then of course the team in 1st place was just so ridiculously ahead with a 24-second improvement over 2nd place. And this really shows the skill level of Hunter's pride as a team here. They got golden arkveld statues as a reward, they got some other goodies, and each of the 2 players on the team also received a full-on PlayStation 5 Pro, which is just nuts to me. It's a very solid reward earned by 2 extremely deserving individuals. Awesome event, great showings by everyone involved, and an excellent bit of Monster Hunter entertainment. Aside from that then, moving on to the final day, the only new planned event is the boss challenge against Omega Planetes, which, like the first day, is an opportunity to go up on stage and fight against Omega in front of the audience, which is just such a cool idea. On the whole, the entire event was pretty awesome. Just a sort of localized storm of Monster Hunter passion all in one place for multiple days in a row, and if I weren't around like 8,000 kilometers away from Paris, France, personally, I would love to go myself, but hey, maybe one day. Maybe one day. For now, I got to enjoy the event vicariously through the stream from the French Capcom channel, through the words and pictures shared by some of the people who were able to go, members of the community who were happy to talk about the experience. Thank you to the people who went and shared this for others. Thank you to the developers and the PR team for putting everything together. It's just such a cool Monster Hunter event, and I hope this continues to happen in the future and only gets bigger and better each time. That's it for today then, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.